We are getting to the end of this conference, and I would like to call to the stage the rapporteurs of the 3 sessions. And the idea was that the final word is to the rapporteurs. So you can come, you can start coming. So these rapporteurs, they took notes during our sessions, but they are not here to present minutes. They were asked to give their own personal twist to what they take from the sessions, okay? So it's not an accurate summary, it's their own final word to what we have been saying here, okay? And of course, they will be even better because they will have to do it in 5 minutes per session, so bear with them. So creativity session. Please go to the...
So I just want to start by asking you a question. I count the time that we, during this 24 hours wonderful conference, thank you, Marta. How many times do we said the word creativity for you? I counted, I know. You? Let's guess. 10. 10. It's incredible, it's amazing. 300, almost 300 times we repeated the word creativity. It's amazing. Creativity, it's something so, for the Research Center of the Future, is a pillar, is fundamental for us. And it's something innate that is not, it doesn't disappear from us. And I want just with Gosha to summarize the creativity session panel by saying that group is a word that brings creativity, collaboration, collaboration with people and scientists from different areas. Young people, you mentioned also yesterday during the session that to leave young people to be free to think over and not to stick with the old experienced men and PIs. And another word that I want to say is time. There was the girl yesterday that said that during work she used to listen music or to have a walk in the nature or to see a picture of Picasso or some artist. It's not a loss of time to be creative and to give time to creativity. So don't lose time. And I was impressed by a sentence that one of the panelists yesterday said, that being wrong is just a step forward to be great and to learn and to be creativity.
So if I may just add a few thoughts of mine to what you just said, Simone. I really enjoyed both the session and your activity on the Padlet. That was amazing, and that was actually creative as well. You might have seen like a small idea for, a startup business, a holiday resort for scientists. That was actually an act of creation itself. So one thing I found really personally touching is because I myself care a lot about mental health, well-being, and in general, staying sane in our difficult environment. And there was this topic of what fosters creativity. And many of you in the discussion, but also in what was commented upon on the Padlet, mentioned safety. Safety in terms of security, financial and also professional, but also being given the right to be wrong, just like you said. It's okay. Sometimes you need to ask a silly question. You ask 4 silly questions, but the 5th one leads you to, a nice string of associations and breeds a creative solution. So I think this is really important, and that resonated with me a lot. And also, I really like this opposition, because some people were mentioning this personal sense of security, while there was also this voice from you and from EMBL that actually this is this turnover and bringing new blood, fresh blood to the group that could also foster this creative attitude. So these things, they seem quite opposite, but maybe we could be able to bring them somehow together, reconcile them in a way. And finally, yes, this age thing, that also resonated a lot and it was brought up time and time again. And one idea I liked is that we oppose this youthful creativity versus the ego of the mature scientists. But then somebody pointed out that actually with age, maybe you lose this special kind of creativity, but you also gain power. And this is not bad unless the power is abused. So we can really build great creative teams if only this leadership of the PI is fair and does not stifle the youthful spring of creativity that we can get from the younger people in our diverse interdisciplinary teams.
Hello, so I'm Silke, and together we're gonna kind of wrap up the discussion on collaboration and multidisciplinarity. So I'd like to start with some of the words of Enrique, who was the physicist turned cartographer, because I really think he nicely indicated what collaboration is. It's a way of looking with different views and together finding creative and new solutions for very complex problems. It helped us figure out a group of islands, whether it belonged to Spain or Portugal, but it also helps us nowadays, of course, we can combine knowledge and combine different views to solve things. However, we still have, of course, a lot to improve on. I think Jan really nicely summarized this in his presentation. And one I would like to start with, for example, is grants and funding opportunities, because we really need to push and drive collaboration more. I, for example, have a type of funding called the Back on that in Belgium, which enforces or promotes collaboration between academia and industry, which I think is crucial because Wolf really nicely showed a slide indicating the differences. There's a lot between academia and industry. I've also experienced these, but it also means that there is a lot that we can learn from each other by combining our views on this. But I've also firsthand experienced that there's also, between these collaborations, still a lot to improve communication-wise and so on.
Thank you. So this discussion actually left me thinking on my formal education and how was collaboration and multidisciplinarity in my formal education. And my conclusion is that I had none of this during my education. So most of my exams were individual exams. Most of my exams were about talking about information, memorizing information. So we didn't have this they didn't foster us this type of collaboration and multidisciplinarity that we are now trying to do. So from the beginning, we are already set to fail, at least in this type of scenario of collaboration. And this led me to another problem, that we find these small or not so small structures that is common in not only education, but also in the grant system, also in the bureaucracy, in the administrative burden. So what I think we are missing is actually, what I think we are experiencing is actually a design problem. So we are designing education, we are designing these grant systems in the wrong way. But the paradox of this is that to try to change this design, we actually need collaboration to promote a better design that touches all of these points that we discussed. And I think that one of the things that we can do, that actually European Union is doing, is this mission-oriented project or mission-oriented goals. Because they set up a mission that is very hard to achieve, like we have an example of when the United States wanted to go to the moon. What they did is like, we want to go to the moon, so this is our goal. But we don't have the technology, we don't have the scientific knowledge, so let's try to build on this. And this leads to collaboration, because everyone alone couldn't do this. And this led to start collaborations between industry and the government. And so I think we can use this oriented approach or mission-oriented approach also in science to foster collaboration and
especially in the grant system and in other systems. And I think that's my points for the session. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can all see me from down here. Even in this country, I'm still very small, so yeah. Me and Lucrezia are going to talk about the... yeah, okay, yeah. Maybe like this, you can see me a bit better. So we are going to talk about the productivity in science panel. And I think that what we can take and retain from that panel is that everything starts with an idea. And especially from this conference is an excellent example of that. We might have one idea, one individual project, one dream that we want to take further. But nothing is going to happen if we don't take a proactive approach to that. And if we don't try to make those dreams and those ideas into a concrete reality. And EU Life is just one big example of that. And we also have many others that were presented to us today, from sustainability to fostering a good environment in research, to make research more attractive to new researchers, but also the ones that are already more senior in this field. We also have the examples of empowering young people and the scientists of tomorrow from different backgrounds, not just close to home, but also to other places where these young people don't have the access to the same opportunities that maybe we had. And all of this started with an idea and with someone who wanted to take this idea further. And we have many examples of that today, but I think there's also more layers to that than just the individual responsibility that we can take on this. We have the funding entities that can provide a financial support to foster these ideas and to make these ideas grow. And it's also important that this funding takes into account the fact that, as we mentioned, it's a lot of our personal time. And when we are young like me and don't have a family, maybe are even in a new country where not so many things are holding you back, you have the time to do this. But what happens when you're moving forward in your life and when you want to start having a family or focusing on other personal projects? When you're taking your time out of this, it can be quite difficult and challenging. And maybe that's why we also see a dip in productivity as we get older. I think for that, it's very important that we have enough funding to actually make these projects not just an idea, but turn them into a reality. And also that we get institutes that provide the appropriate environment for us to foster and grow these ideas, just at an institute level, but also in a group level. And then, as I mentioned many times now, that we take our own personal responsibility and proactivity and do a step forward into making these dreams and these ideas come true. And we heard a lot about ideas and what we dream for the future. But now I hope that each one of us gets to take home these dreams and these ideas and tries to think about concrete steps in which we can make research a better place to be and have a brighter future on that. So thank you so much.
Okay, so since this is the proactive session, how can we actually do stuff to improve and be more proactive? Something that came out was actually also the difficulty to make people engage, citizens or scientists. So what I was thinking about is actually what are the actual active steps that we can take, that you can take as leaders to help this proactivity to make it blossom. And one thing that was discussed a lot was to take responsibility, right? But I think that it's not only in one way. We also need to responsibilize people. So especially as leaders, we need to give other people to be in charge and know that their action can actually make a difference. Because I think if actually people know that if they take the time and try to improve, because it comes out of frustration, right? We see something is not working and we want to improve it. And if we know that if we take the time and the effort and somebody's going to listen to us, this is really important, then I think more and more people could be engaged in that sense. So what I see for the Institute of Tomorrow is that we need, of course, to support change when we see it. So we need to be critical. This also was discussed a lot, but critical in a constructive way, which sometimes in science is a bit difficult. So we need to support this vision, not only by saying, good job, but also financially and providing guidelines, as we said, to actually make it then a change into the structure itself. And to do this, we need to give rewards. We need to change the way we give rewards and recognition to people and recognize the importance of different paths other than just science or PhD, postdoc, and MPI. We need to make possibly permanent position also more accessible to people to actually embark in these different trajectories, I think. And for this, I think that the Institute of Tomorrow should actually be structured in a way that gives space to people to socialize and therefore also to collaborate and so on. So it is really important also the architecture and the way different people from different backgrounds can meet together and discuss the problems of their institute or the problems of science. And also, we need to give time to people because we have a very demanding job, and knowing that our time will be a reward when we put it into something different, it's important, as we said today, and it can lead to incredible things. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you all.